Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 3 of the Just to You podcast. I'm Eric Nicole, your host, and I'm so glad you decided to join us today. Whether this is your very first time joining in on the conversation or you've been listening along since the beginning, thank you for being here. This podcast exists because of you, your stories, your courage, and your willingness to keep choosing yourself, even when it's not easy. The Just to You podcast is a safe space for authentic, unscripted conversations that connect us, inspire us, and remind us of who we are at our core. Together, we're going to explore confidence, voice truth, and what it means to step fully into what I call the Just Do You sweet spot, that place where you are living honestly, intentionally, and unapologetically. This new season is about growth, reflection, possibility, and community. I'll be sitting down with friends, colleagues, community leaders, and influencers who are willing to share their journeys, the wins, the challenges, and everything in between. We'll laugh, we may shed a few tears, but in the end, we're going to continue to remind one another that none of us is walking this path alone. So, are you ready? Great, let's do this. Welcome to season 3 of the Just to You podcast. All right, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. I'm going to read her bio to give you a little bit of an idea of who this amazing human is. Her name is Sydney Rogers, and Sydney is a Black trans woman. She's a speaker, a drag artist, and the senior manager of the Trans Wellness Center of the Los Angeles LGBTQ Center. This is where she leads workforce and empowerment programming for trans and non-binary communities. She also serves as the chair of the Los Angeles County LGBTQ Plus Commission, and she's the vice chair of the West Hollywood Transgender Advisory Board, where she brings together advocacy, storytelling, and lived experiences to inspire people to live more boldly and authentically. And one of the things that I do when I start to prep for these conversations is I ask my guests what their superpower is. And so I asked Sydney what her superpower is, and she said, building spaces where people feel seen, powerful, and possible. I have a gift for turning lived experience into leadership using storytelling, advocacy, humor, and honesty to help people move from survival into visibility and purpose. So I'd like everyone to meet Sydney Rogers. Hi, Sydney.
Hi, Eric.
How are you?
Thank you. I was like, who wrote that? That sounds so good. Thank you.
So I gotta tell you, I love introducing people through their bios because of this very reason. I've said before, and I truly believe that we do not wake up every morning after a night's sleep and wake up into our bio and wake up into our history of who we are in this world and what we've done and the accomplishments that we've had and the differences that were made. And I have really been trying to wake up every morning, especially over this past, what seems like a decade of chaos, of waking up into a really positive spot. What difference can I make today? And so I love reading people's bios because when I do that, I love watching their faces on camera because they're either mortified that's who they are, or embarrassed, I should say, or they're just loving it. They're feeling it. So I do that specifically because I think it also really sets the tone. But
And
you
what
wrote
did
that.
and
You
what did
wrote that,
my
by the way.
I did. I know.
You did.
And what did my face do? What did my face?
You just joy. And that's the thing that I really love because I don't think we give ourselves permission to really celebrate the joy of who we are.
No, I don't think we do. And I used to write in my bio that I was a survivor of domestic violence, a survivor of incest, a survivor of this, a survivor of that. And I realized that's how I was always leading my
Mhm.
story with, and and then I would mention all my accomplishments in my bio. But
Mhm.
now I lead my bio just like you read it with, no, this is where I'm moving forward.
Mhm.
This is how I live my life, and this is the joy that I'm
Mhm.
bringing.
Mhm.
And just like we talked about earlier, I woke up with so much gratitude with, wow, this is the life that I've created for
Mhm.
myself, and it's beyond my wildest dreams.
Yeah. I've said often something that I heard in a very powerful personal development seminar many years ago before I came out. In fact, I came out because of this particular coursework. But I heard the leader say, who you are in the world is not your circumstances. And so we really need to be able to define ourselves by who we truly are. Our circumstances certainly will guide us and shape our decisions and need to be tended to. but the circumstances don't always define who we are as a human being in this world. And I've really loved to live by that, right? Sometimes money hasn't been there, or I've almost lost my company, or a relationship breaks up, or I get yelled at by a client, something along those
Mhm.
lines. And I've allowed those moments to define me, but they really don't define internally really who I am at my core, right? So I think it's important for us to remember, and that's why I did this podcast, is to remember who we are really at our
Look,
core.
there's so many different, I look back now and there's so many different milestones, positive and negative, that have shaped who I am now. And I used to think that's why I am the way I am. And
Mhm,
that's why I say the things I do. But after a lot of healing, thank you,
mhm,
therapy, thank you,
mhm,
12 step, that
mhm,
I get to choose how I evolve now. And I get to choose how I want to engage with the world. I get
mhm,
to choose who I have in my life. I thought my blood family was I have to beg to be involved with. And then there came a moment where I was like, you know what? We grown as people. If you want to be
mhm,
involved in my life, cool. If you don't want to be involved, that's okay too. I have people who uplift, challenge, and love me. Those are the three things. And if you can't do those three things, you don't need to be involved in my life, period. And
mhm,
that has changed the trajectory of all the people who have
mhm,
come in my life.
mhm,
They've come and gone, but I can count 10 people on my hands that I can call at 2 in the morning. What do you need? How
mhm.
much do you need? Where do I need to pick you up?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't have that. I realize a lot of people
No.
don't have that.
And I think you need, for me, and this is just my opinion, is that I need to be whole and complete in myself, not necessarily complete meaning perfect, but complete knowing that I'm on a journey, that my life has a trajectory. And through that trajectory, there's going to be highs and lows, ups and downs, wins and losses. And that for me to surround myself with people who celebrate me. Do you know Mama Tits from Puerto Vallarta? Brian Peters. Have you ever heard of her?
I've
Okay.
heard,
Okay.
I've heard of her. Yes, I
Sh
have.
Yeah, I was sitting in her show in Puerto Vallarta. First time I'd ever been to Mexico a couple of years ago with my best friend Daryl. And she said in her closing song in her performance, she was amazing, by the way, but she said in her closing moments, only surround yourself with people who celebrate you. And I struggled with that because it sounded arrogant and conceited. Like the only people that can be in my circle celebrate me. And I went home that night and I remember sitting out on the patio and watching the stars and the moon shimmer over the water. I was having a moment after this amazing experience. And it dawned on me. I'm like, that's not conceited at all. That's not arrogant at all. That's creating a life of joy and happiness. And
Mhm.
so now I'm at that spot too, not only with people, but also with jobs and opportunities and things. If it doesn't bring me joy, and I blame that Marie Kondo during COVID, the one who had you reorganize your underwear drawer.
I
And
have I still have that show on my queue because
oh
I'm
yeah,
kind of less scared to watch that show because I know
uh,
it's going to change everything if I
it
watch
changed
that
my
show.
life. I moved from a rather large home in Palm Springs to this cute little beach cottage here in San Diego, and I had to downsize and I was bursting at the seams. I pulled out every piece of clothing, every knickknack, every tchotchke, and if it didn't bring me joy, it got sent to the thrift shop. And I'm telling you, it just opened up my life. So I encourage you and everyone that's listening to sometimes I call it to Marie Kondo the crap out of your life because it definitely helps.
I'm gonna
It
have to
definitely
do that.
you're going
Yes.
to have to do that. So I read through your bio, and obviously there are some really incredible accomplishments, and we're going to get to those. I do want to talk about your work and kind of your advocacy and your journey as well. I do like to give our listeners a little bit, as much as the guest is willing to give and touch on, a little bit of background and history on the young Sydney. Where were you born, siblings, and that? And you can give us as much as you want or as little as you want. But I think it also sets the tone because what's so fascinating, Sydney, in now 3 seasons of doing this and almost 100 episodes, is that who we are in our younger years, again, despite what we go through, or I should say, in response to what we go through, many times has us be who we are in our adulthood and the work that we're doing to make a difference in the world. So I just like to give a little glimpse of you back then, if
My
that's okay with you.
goodness. No, it's absolutely. I was raised in Pomona,
Okay.
California.
She's a
I'm the
California girl.
I'm a
Wow. A
California
native.
girl.
Okay.
I was raised in California, raised in Pomona, the oldest of six kids.
Wow.
My mom was diagnosed with kidney failure when I was 10 years old. And I learned at a very young age how to be a caretaker. I learned at a very young age, they call it the adultification of young children, especially children of color. And I remember my mom sitting us down and she said, "You are Black children, you will all go to college."
Mm,
And I remember at a very young age, my mom asked, what do you want to be? What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to be a journalist." And she would give me books and journals and tell me to write. And anything we wanted to had any kind of passion in, we had a huge library in our living room. And we had that living room that nobody could walk in and be in. It had the vacuum lines and nobody could sit in it unless the guests came. But we had a
hmm
huge library, encyclopedias, the Britannica and the Funkin' Wagnalls. But we had a huge library and we were all about books. So by the fourth grade, I was reading at an eighth grade level. And I was in the gifted and talented education program and all those kinds of things. But I was helping my mom raise my brothers and sisters, changing diapers, cooking, cleaning. I was very much mommy's little helper. But I was this little queer kid, very feminine, didn't know I was trans at the time, but I knew I was different. But I was concentrating on school so much because it was instilled in us to go to college, right? And so that was in my head so much. And I got teased, I got bullied, got called names. And every time I would come home and tell my mom people call me names and stuff, she would go, "You pay them no mind." Very Marsha B. Johnson. "You pay them no mind. They're gonna be your employees one day." She would say stuff like that. And she would
hmm
come from dialysis because she went to dialysis 3 times a week. And I would tell my brothers and sisters, "Let's clean the house for mom," or "Let's clean the bathroom," and stuff like that. But I remember watching a lot of TV. We come from a domestic violent household. That's why she was a single mom. And we escaped that. And that's where we landed in Pomona. And I remember very much escaping into books and television. For some reason, I loved the WWF.
Sorry, I didn't
Love
mean
the
to laugh out loud.
yeah, I love the WWF for some reason. But I also read a lot of Jackie Collins, Danielle Steele, Sheldon. I read all those books into these worlds. And I
hmm
also loved Aaron Spelling
hmm
and all those TV shows, Dynasty, Dallas, Falcon Crest. I'm probably aging myself by saying all those names, but
No, you're not, girl, because that's where I.
Charlie's Angels, yes, Charlie's
hmm
Angels, Wonder Woman. I was so immersed. Three's Company, Love Boat. I watched all those shows and just was immersed in these worlds. And
hmm
so when I got into college, I was a double major, double minor. No one told me that I shouldn't do all that. And I got my undergrad in radio, TV, film, and I
Oh,
started drag in 1992.
okay.
And got into musical theater when I was 18.
Okay.
Fell in love.
Mm,
Because again, you can immerse yourself in these worlds.
sure.
And so I
hmm
started choreographing musicals and community theater. I got a scholarship there where they taught me how to do lights, sound, makeup, everything. And I just took to it like a duck to water. And that was the time that Rent, Phantom, Miss Saigon, all of those musicals, wonderful musicals came out. And I fell in love with theater. So when I
Mm,
started drag, my friend goes, "Drag is just musical theater in a club." And I said, "Really?" And so I started doing that in the clubs, and that's when house music was really coming out. And so I started performing in Orange County and did all house music. And house music was my life because it was all these positive songs,
hmm
right? Keep pushing on, things are going to get better, brighter days, like all these really, and these were all strong Black women singing these songs, Martha Wash, all these really strong Black women. So I would perform these songs and would just love performing them and going to school and sending money home to mom. And little did I know that addiction was in there. I wasn't healing like I should. I didn't love myself all the way. There's so many different things, pockets that I wasn't taking care of for myself. And they showed their ugly heads later in life when I found myself homeless. I found myself 14 years in addiction. I found
hmm
myself on Skid Row. And I got sober in 2013. And I realized I was trans in 2016. and I started my hormone treatments. And then the healing really began. Started to really find myself. But along the way, there were moments of clarity, there were moments of joy, there were moments of pain and danger and fear.
Mhm.
Along the way, I don't really talk to my brothers and sisters anymore, where they don't talk to me. But I
Mhm.
found this chosen family who I spend my Thanksgivings and Christmases with. I've managed to create this creature named Miss Barbecue that everyone, I realize
Hold on,
I'm
hold on. But you breezed over that so fast, people are going to
no
catch it. Miss Barbie Q. I,
Barbecue,
I am obsessed. I'm
which was the
obsessed.
name that was like betrothed on me from my drag sisters.
Okay.
Barbie like the doll, capital Q. It was Lady Barbecue, and then it was Madam Barbecue, then it became Miss Barbecue, MISS. And that name was given to me back in 1992 by my
Mhm.
drag sisters. We were in Denny's one night, and this lady walked in with her cheeks circles. And my friend goes, and I said, look at her cheeks. And I picked up the barbecue sauce at Denny's because everyone eats after. And
Mhm.
I said, her cheeks look just like this. And the barbecue sauce went all over my outfit. My homegirl goes, your name should be Miss Barbecue. I said, that's the dumbest name I ever heard. And she goes, no, Barbie like the dog, capital Q. It's cute. And it's been my name ever
I love it.
since.
I love it. I love it. I love it. One of the things that has resonated throughout the course of the last three seasons is this conversation of when you find your voice, when you find that true authentic self. In that moment that you found that space of Miss Barbecue, how did that make you feel? What were some of the emotions that were going through your head? Because I think there's a huge, as we've learned, there's a huge misunderstanding as to what drag really is, who drag performers really are, as much confusion as there is around our community. But when you found that moment, so many of the performers that I've spoken to have said there was just a moment they put that first wig on or those first pair of high heel shoes that they felt at home. They felt comfortable. They felt authentic. Was that the same experience for you, or was it more of a journey to get there?
Oh my gosh. I think the first moment I felt at home was when I felt the power that I had, that drag had when I started doing benefits. One of the things I always tell young drag queens is you ever want to get exposure and practice is go do benefits. That show up on time and do benefits. And I remember when I did one of my first benefit, and I was helping raise money. I got on the microphone and I started asking people to donate. And the more I was talking and making people laugh and stuff, people were raising their hands, they're putting money in the basket. And I think we raised that night $50,000 or something. And I
Mhm.
was like, I helped raise that? I did? And they're like,
Mhm.
yeah. And then I realized that was the power of what I bring to the table and the power
Mhm.
of drag and bringing together community. Another time I realized I had a voice was when someone came to me and said they hadn't eaten that day. They came to
Mhm.
the club and they could afford to come in, but they hadn't eaten. This is when I was
Mhm.
hosting in downtown, and I was able
Mhm.
to take the money from my breast, from my tips, and give them money to go get something to eat. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, are you sure?" And I was like, "Honey, go eat." And I
Mhm.
realized that they were able to come to me because I was safety. They were able to come to me because they knew that I could make something happen. Come to me for advice. They would come to me when they were having a fight with their boyfriend. They would come to
Mhm.
me when they needed to know who knew who, where they could sleep that night. I realized that drag wasn't just entertainment, but we were like the conduits for
Mhm.
community. We were the
Yeah.
conduits that people would come to know where to go, how to do things, for advice, to make them laugh, to pick up their spirits. I realized that what I say, people would listen to. So
Mhm.
when I would post something, say something, get on the microphone to announce something, people would listen, would
Mhm.
have weight. Yeah.
I sometimes hesitate asking this question because it could literally be volumes of a podcast. But what do you think people who attack the community, what are they most afraid of when it comes to drag queens and or the trans community? Because they are two different.
Oh, oh my goodness. I've had a lot of conversations about this. And I think when people attack any community, any
Hmm.
marginalized community, I think a lot of times, and I would see their faces switch when they would look at a drag queen or a trans person or a queer person or a gay person living their best life authentically and realize that they're not living their best life or realize that they have a light that they haven't tapped into. And
Hmm.
how dare they have the audacity to live theirs? So there's this need to squash, there's this need to question, there's
Hmm.
this need to control, there's this need to mitigate, right? You can bring in religion, you can bring in law, you can bring in violence, you can bring in whatever it is, whatever factor people bring in, and they
Hmm.
do of to control that happiness or whatever joy that they'll have had. And there's a German word for it too, when people get joy out of making someone miserable. I forget what the word is. I used to know it. I used to know it by heart, but there's this word that people have when they get joy out of making someone miserable. And I noticed that it becomes a virus, it spreads. But there's
Hmm.
also a joy out of making someone else happy.
Hmm.
To me, that's also a virus that can spread,
Yeah.
and people tap into that too.
You basically said almost verbatim what Bambi Salcedo said
Oh,
from the trans.
really?
Because I asked her the question on her episode, and they're just upset and angry that we're living lives full. I'm paraphrasing. This is not verbatim what she said, but basically it was the same thing. They're angry because they're not getting to live the life that they want to live,
And they
whatever that may
can
be for them.
though.
But
And they
that's just it.
can
They
though. That's
can.
the
And that's just
thing.
it. They can. But that I think that's where the rage comes from, is because they know they can, like legitimately can, but their fear is keeping them from that. And
Oh,
we all know what fear is.
oh yeah, my fear kept me in my addiction and alcoholism
Sure.
for years. I was
Hmm.
afraid of my transness. I was
Yeah.
afraid of being a Black trans woman. I was
Hmm.
afraid of what that meant, right? So I didn't
Hmm.
transition until what, 2016, like I said. And that kept me in such a dark place for so long.
But they also, and I again often say this because I want to stand from the rooftops and the mountaintops and scream this, especially in this amazing month. Happy Pride, by the way.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride Month. Although every day is Pride for us, I know that for sure, but happy Pride Month. Is that so many of the people who have an opinion, for lack of a better term, have never sat down with anyone from the trans community or from the drag community or the LGBTQ community for that matter and had a conversation. So I call it a lot of times bandwagon jumping. Someone says
Mm.
something, especially in social media. Someone says the gays are X. And then you get 400 people that are saying, yeah, you're right. You're right. Then you've got 1,400 people saying, no, you people are crazy and you don't know and you don't understand. And there becomes this dialogue online. But it then becomes who's trying to be right rather than having a conversation with somebody from the community and really getting to know us because they
Yeah.
don't know us. They don't know who we are. They don't know the history of drag. They don't know the history of the LGBTQ community. And that to me is where I just lose my ever loving you know what. You
I
asked
know.
if we could swear earlier, and I said yes.
I
But
know. that's
where the shit hit the fan for me.
I'm gonna say something controversial, and
Please.
a lot of people don't like to hear this, even within my own community. I feel like we have lost the art, the
Mhm.
gift of healthy debate.
We have.
I remember debate was back in high school. I was on
Mhm.
academic decathlon, and we would have these healthy debates, and we would have to do the pros and con of a subject. And we had to learn how to do the
Mhm.
pro and con of something,
Mhm.
even if
Mhm.
we didn't like it. We had to learn how to hear the other side of something and how to hear it and accept it and know that there are points being made and hear it and go, okay, we can hear both sides and go, okay, I've heard you. But these
Mhm.
algorithms and the way
Mhm.
that social media has been created,
Mhm.
it has made everyone hear just one side of things. And if you hear the other side, It is wrong, it is evil, it is this, it is that,
Mhm.
and no one is hearing the other side of anything. The whole healthy debate concept has been thrown out the window. It
Mhm.
is choosing sides, it is who is evil, who is good, all these things. And I'm like, can't both be true? But when you start infringing on each
Mhm.
other's rights, when you start telling
Mhm.
someone how they should be living their life, when you start passing laws and taking people from their homes because
Mhm.
you don't think they're living the way they should be living, now you're
Mhm.
encroaching on someone's whole livelihood. And so,
Mhm.
and people have stopped listening to each other. Everyone has become the enemy, which
Mhm.
has made everyone so hyper vigilant and so hyper focused on what is wrong, what is wrong,
Mhm.
is wrong, that we forget to even enjoy the other person next to us, get to even find joy everywhere. It
Mhm.
was a novelty.
Mhm.
Even go, oh my God, I found this Wicked cup. Oh my God. Like we get so excited over the
Mhm.
little things because we've
Mhm.
gotten so used to the bad, the doom scrolling. Like we
Mhm.
never had the word doom scrolling. When I
Never.
would watch the news when I was a kid, I mean, we watch the
No.
news for 11 o'clock, turn it off, you're done,
Mhm.
right? Now it's constant.
And it's also designed,
It's, it's,
strategically
it's by
designed.
design. And
It's by design.
but being aware that it's
Mhm.
by design. It's a tool.
Yep.
And I tell my clients who are looking for work, my trans and non-binary clients, all
Mhm.
of these things are tools.
Yes.
Something that you can turn off, like a power tool, it's a
Mhm.
tool. Social
Mhm.
media is a tool,
Mhm.
Instagram, LinkedIn, Talk, it's all a tool. If somebody somewhere else can turn it off and
Mhm.
all you have no more followers, it's a tool, honey, that can always be taken away. So
Mhm.
always see it as that. And everyone gets so
Mhm.
emotionally
Yep.
invested in
Yep.
all of these things. And I'm like,
Yep.
why are you so emotionally invested? It can be taken away in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I sometimes have got a little pushback for this, but it's interesting when I get some comments. But I want to know who made the decision when you look around, let's say on the news and you're looking at the cabinet or you're looking at the Senate or Congress, and I want to know which sir, white
They'll
guy
say,
made the decision that they were going to be the only ones that could make comments or decisions or do you know what I mean? Like,
oh,
do you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Oh,
And then
yeah.
you've got the Crockett's and the Garcias and the other ones that are coming up and their voices are being heard. And you know that people are watching and you know that people are listening. But some of my brothers and sisters are kind of going, oh, I don't know if I can jump on that bandwagon because it's not they want to. And it's the same thing. And I use the example of the first trans person that I had on the podcast 3 seasons ago. I found him on Instagram. I didn't know he was trans. I've admitted this. I thought he was super hot. He is super hot. I was flipping through. He does thirst traps. He admits that, so I'm not gossiping about him. And I got down to one of the posts and I saw the scar. And I reached out and I said, "Hey, have you told your story?" And he's no. I just post these videos. And I'm like, "You need to tell your story and I want you to do it on my podcast." And he came on the podcast. He was very nervous. His name is Archer. And he told his story. Can I tell you, Sydney? To this day, almost 100 episodes, he has the number one most downloaded podcast out of all the episodes.
Really?
I thought anomaly, right? So I brought him back for a second time right after the election as a
Uh-huh.
check-in. I wanted to check in on my trans brother and see how he's
Yeah.
doing amidst all the chaos. Second most downloaded podcast.
Oh, wow.
Brought him on again a third time to talk about his hospice work. And it's also done really well. Why I share that is because the comments that I've gotten on those particular episodes have all been, especially within, I've had several drag performers, I've had several trans people, and I've had people comment to me privately, which I think is interesting, that the episode actually shifted their perception of the community because we have listeners in, I think we're in 62 countries, but listeners around the world say, you've changed my perspective on your community. Had you not had so and so on the podcast, I probably would be sitting in that same conversation. But yet there's a disconnect because that person doesn't take that out into their world. And so I encourage people when they leave me messages like that, that it's amazing that they've had that epiphany. It's
But
amazing,
take it
amazing that
out.
they've that breakthrough moment, but you got to
Yeah.
take it out into the community.
And there's this whole thing, and I call it the wounded bird syndrome. And it happens with Black people, it happens
Hmm.
with people of color, it happens with women, and it
Hmm.
also happens with trans and non-binary people.
Hmm.
That people see us as these downtrodden, poor you kind of people, and that anytime I'm like, I have my master's and I've done all this amazing work and stuff, and that people still see me as poor Sydney, poor thing. Wow, you're so well spoken. And I'm like, I went to college. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I have a
exactly.
master's. Are you serious? But they hear trans and they hear
Hmm.
Black and they hear woman and they think I'm this wounded person walking around and that I can't raise up and I can't speak eloquently and I can't do all
Hmm.
these things or I'm an anomaly and there aren't
Hmm.
other people like me. And it happens within our own community of people wanting to put us on this pedestal and show us off, but they don't give us jobs in
Right,
leadership. They
right,
don't pay us
right.
well. They want us to just perform, and that's all. Right.
Hmm.
And they don't take it
Hmm.
into community of actually being intentional about how they are perceiving us. And it
Hmm.
happens over and over when people go, wow, you've changed my perspective. But I'm still not going
Hmm.
to hire Black people. I'm still not going
Right.
to hire trans people. I still don't see trans people as a manager. I still don't see you as a supervisor, but I think you're fabulous. And it happens over and over where they still don't see it, or I don't see you as dateable. Don't even get me on about
Oh,
dating.
girl,
Don't even get me
honey,
about dating and
honey.
stuff. But it's this whole
Yeah.
thing about I think you're fabulous, but I don't see you in these other areas as valuable.
But why?
But why? Because it's easier to see us in these areas and proclaim the need for funds or the need for causes or the need for charity, whatever you want to put, is easier to put us in that space. How many times have you seen Marsha P. Johnson up on all kinds of stuff, but no one said that she was smart, she was
Hmm.
brilliant,
Hmm.
she created networks of people, that she did all these things. They just put it up and go, oh, poor Marsha P. Johnson. Look, she's a sign of rebellion. That bitch was smart. She was brilliant. But no one talks about her intelligence or her
Hmm.
brilliance as a Black trans woman. They just talk about her protests and all those other things. She's a brilliant, smart person.
Yes. And it's a little tongue in cheek. I recently saw a post on Instagram. This straight guy walked in to a gay pride flag by accident and ran around the streets of New York telling everyone, asking everyone if they thought he was gay because he had touched this gay flag. Am I homosexual? Am I homosexual? And it's so outrageously ridiculous. But it's funny and it's sad at the same time. But it's funny because I've been thinking a lot about these people who say, "Oh my gosh, you're fabulous. You're amazing, but there's always that, but you're not a manager, you're not hireable, you're not dateable," because it means something about them if they take that next step. And
Yeah.
I'm very curious in this kind of new line of work that I'm about to venture off into in the world of coaching is to have a conversation about what does that mean about you, number one, and number two, what are you making it mean about you? Because they're
Hmm.
two completely different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you're making it mean by giving us support and showing kindness and love to a trans person or to a member of the community does not mean what you think it means about you,
Yes.
because they're
And
making
and
it about them. They're not
and
making
it
it about you, Sydney.
and it makes it conditional.
Correct.
It makes it
Correct.
conditional. And that's the part that really rubs me the wrong
Hmm.
way. That I will put you on a pedestal, I will
Hmm.
celebrate you if you stay in this lane. Once you start going out of that lane, Sydney, you're the chair now. Like people
Hmm.
look at me like, oh, who's the chair? Oh, you're the chair? Oh. Or I walk out in the front, I'm the senior manager here. I want to talk to the person in charge. I'm the person in charge. No, who's in charge of
People
you?
do not say that to you, do they?
Oh, oh my God. They say it all the time. Who's in charge of you? No, I'm the one in charge here.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, you are? And
Oh,
I'm like, yes. Oh, they feel they can say that because I'm a Black trans woman. If I was a white man, they wouldn't dare say that.
no.
But because I'm a Black trans woman, they can question my authority. They feel like they can talk to me any kind of way because
Mhm.
it's okay. Because people have been taught that it's okay to question a Black person and their authority.
Okay, that's what I was just going to say, because it's
Question a,
not
yeah,
just
yeah,
you
yeah,
as a
no,
Black
no, no,
woman,
no,
it's a
no, no,
Black
no. As a
person.
Black person, it's
Mhm.
okay to question a woman
Mhm.
or authority. So it's that
Mhm.
intersectionality. God bless
Mhm.
Kimberly Crenshaw. I got to meet
Mhm.
her. Amazing
Mhm.
woman. Yeah, amazing. She's coming out with a new book. But that intersectionality, and then I have to always keep
Mhm.
myself in check.
Mhm.
Don't be the angry Black woman. Don't be the
Mhm.
angry Black trans woman. Come with kindness. Come with all these things. So I'm always trying to keep myself in check, but
Mhm.
also I can't be going around snapping fingers because that's what
Mhm.
people expect of me too. Because that's it. So it's always this balance of how do I
Mhm.
look at the world and still love the world when it sees me in a certain way of how I should be conducting myself?
I need you to expand on that for a second, but I want to make sure I remember two things I want to say to you. When you say that's the way the world looks at you, do you really come from the space that the world thinks that, or is that a phrase that we use to make it encompassing of a bigger picture? Do you know what I mean? Does the
Oh,
world really hold you as a Black trans woman in that space, or is it a specific demographic of that world? Does that make sense?
ooh, that's such a good question. Oh, I feel like the world, get emotional. I feel like the world right now doesn't even want to see me. I feel like the world right now on June 3rd, 2026 would like it if I would just disappear, if I would just go away. But I'm not going away. I do feel like the world does see me as an anomaly. I think the
Mhm.
world does see me as something that should be examined and looked at and questioned over and over. But then also I see the world, I feel like the world does see me as something to be celebrated. And I said
Mhm.
something, not someone. Because I've looked on
Mm,
and
mm, mm, mm,
I've
mm,
looked at different accounts, and I've heard people call Black trans women it, thing,
mm,
stuff like that, which
mm.
always scares me of if I want to run for office or run for political office and stuff. That's the reality that I'm looking at too. Yes, it would be awesome to run for office, political office, but that's the reality of what the world also sees me as too. And
And
I'd be naive
yeah.
if I did not see that. Because a lot of people be like, no, girl, you're fabulous and everything's great and it's glitter and beaches
Mhm.
and all the things. And I'm like, that's great to look at the world that way. And I can totally look at the world that way. But my reality is also bottles thrown at me. The world is also, if I'm walking down the street, I don't know if someone wants to kill me or not. And that's real too, no matter how many degrees I have.
So I want you to pause there for a second, because these are the moments that I don't ever want to brush over, because it's the reality of the life that we are living, is for the listener to take a moment and a pause to hear the statement, when I'm walking down the street, I don't know if somebody wants to kill me. I've heard that several times from some trans friends and some people in the gay community. And that's the part that I think we check out on, is that, and we replace it with the you're fabulous and you're amazing and the glitter and the unicorns and all that. But where we really need to cause a shift is sitting with the fact that there is a group of people, and I'm talking about marginalized people. I'm not just trying to single out the trans community, even though that's
Hmm.
very real. There are people out in our country and our world that are out wondering if they can walk out their door and are they safe? And
If I'm gonna make it
if
back.
I'm going to make it back, I don't want to hold this Pollyannic view, and I'm not going to take away from you that reality for you of that's how you feel about the world. I, for me, want to continue to encourage the people that are sitting in silence, that may be saying you're fabulous, but I don't know that my voice will matter. I don't know that my
Oh,
comments will matter. So
oh,
I'm not going to say anything. Again, it's that, what are you taking it out into the world? I believe that the world is not what's showing up. That's a portion of it.
it's
That's
a
a
small, it's
small
a
portion of it.
small, small portion.
Because there are people in this world, Sydney, who don't want you to disappear, who don't want you to be silent, who don't want you to stop, who don't want you killed in the street amongst our brothers and sisters. They not only want you to be who you are, they desperately need you to be who they are. But what's come at them like water out of a fire hose, it's my new favorite phrase in this administration, is it just comes at you like a fire hose and you don't know how to take a breath for a moment. They don't know how to respond or they don't know how to act. So I'm committed that in our conversations in this podcast and out in the world that we say, it's great that you feel support or feel supportive of a Sydney, of a whoever. But
Mhm.
what you can do is X, Y, and Z. And it doesn't need to
Yes.
be grab your megaphone and go stand out on a street
No.
corner and protest. What it means is you go out into the world and have conversations with people. You
Mm.
go out into the world and say, I heard this amazing woman speak in a public event, and her name was Sydney Rogers. And this is what she taught me. And this is the one thing that I was left with. And by the way, she's trans,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It can be as simple as that because
Yep.
that those trickle.
It
It's like
does.
the rock,
And
it's like the pebble, it trickles.
as a ripple effect.
Ripple effect. Thank you.
Yes, as a ripple effect.
Ripples. What did I say?
I spoke at the International Horrors Day last night.
So
I was
what
the
is
key.
that? What
The
is that you mentioned?
International
What is that, by the
International Horrors Day is a celebration of sex workers within the LGBTQ movement.
Okay.
I was a sex worker.
No,
Yeah,
I have to
and
explain. I have to explain when you said that the other day and you said I, I thought it was HORSE, not
I know you did. And I
HOR.
was like, I don't think he heard
Sorry, I
me.
didn't hear you. Sorry.
I don't think
I
he heard
understand
me.
now.
I did survival sex work when I was in my
Got it.
addiction. And
Got
they asked me to be the keynote
it.
speaker
Awesome.
last night. And so I spoke on it, and it was a 10-minute speech. And this 82-year-old Black woman came up to me afterwards. I was about to leave, and she stopped me. And she said, I just want to tell you, I've heard everything, seen everything, but you opened my eyes and you enlightened me how I've never been enlightened before. And oh, Eric, I just started crying.
Mhm.
She looked at me with these brown eyes, and her name was Penny. And she said, your words moved me in ways I haven't been moved. And I looked down at her, and because my mom passed away in 2022, right?
Mhm.
And
Sorry.
my grandmother passed away in 2017. And I looked down at her, and I saw my mom, I saw my grandmother looking back at me. And I realized that my words matter. My words, how I say them, how I deliver them, what my story is, matters. And then I looked
Mhm.
up, and I think that was either her daughter or somebody was next to her. And she looked at me and she said, you keep
Mhm.
doing you.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
keep doing you, saying your truth. She gave me this big old hug like an
Mhm.
auntie. And I was like, oh my goodness. Not only do I get to heal, but now I get to be this vessel. I get to say my truth, and I don't have to perform, make up
Mhm.
stuff. I get to just create and just say it. I think that's the part that needs to reach people too.
You
And
said,
yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
And when it reaches them, hopefully that moves them to speak up.
You said two things in your notes to me when you were sending me some information, and I thought they were really powerful. You said learning authenticity sometimes costs people's approval and choosing yourself anyway. I think that was a really powerful statement that you made.
Can I expand on that?
No, I want you to.
Oh my gosh. As I've transitioned from gay boy to drag queen to, I also came out non-binary and then trans woman, I
Mhm.
lost a lot of people along the way. I lost friends, I lost gigs, I lost people who I thought were in my corner. I had people questioning me of, was this just a fad, a
Mhm. Mhm.
trend? I remember each time, even because I came out as a drag queen in the 90s when it wasn't popular. Remember back in the
Mhm.
day?
Well, huh?
Cool. It wasn't
Nope.
cool. No one knew it was a drag queen. No one wanted to sleep with us. No one wanted to be our boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. It wasn't cool. Now RuPaul's
Mhm.
Drag Race has changed all of that.
Right.
But back then you had to hide your wigs before your trick came over, right?
Mhm.
But each time there was a sacrifice. And I didn't realize, I was like, no, I'm coming out and I'm finding who I am. I'm being
Mhm.
me. Everyone should
Mhm.
be celebrated. Why won't they call me back? Why did I
Mhm.
lose this gig? How come no one's returning my text anymore? How
Mhm.
come I'm not Oh, they didn't invite me to that? Oh, they're on Instagram and they're posting that without me?
Hmm.
Oh, they're it's it, to be your true self, there's some kind of compromise and give and take. And people are like, I ain't compromising nothing. There
Hmm.
is going to be. And it sometimes it doesn't show up the way you think it's going to. And sometimes it hits hard. It hits hard. And I found it in so many different ways. But it always has been replaced with people that love you whole.
Hmm.
WHOLE. Whole. Scars and all. And in that part, I realize, oh, the people who have lost, and I've had people come back because I've been in this so long now, of people going, I've seen your journey and I'm so proud of you. I'm sorry that I left. I'm sorry that I left. But now I'm here and I'm back. And now
Hmm.
it's up to me as a person who's okay, I either can accept that friendship or that relationship or not.
Yeah.
Oh, your face.
I know. I'm just you make me cry. I'm known as the podcast
Oh.
crier, so I'm going to cry through this podcast too. No, but it was reminding me of something else you said, and that is that joy and softness and rest and pleasure are also forms of resistance.
Oh my
Eh,
gosh.
mhm,
Last night. Because people think I have to be this
mhm,
hard-hitting black woman roaring through the
mhm,
jungle.
mhm,
I'm thinking Wonder Woman, running through. And I don't, and I kept telling my friends, where can I be soft? Where can I have these moments where I don't have to be on all the
mhm,
time? And they all sat me down and went, Sydney, you can rest here. You can cry here. We're not
mhm,
going to judge you. It's okay and actually, my bosses have been really good about like, Sydney,
mhm.
you need to take the weekend off. You need to take a longer vacation. Because I was raised, and apparently like you were too, we don't take vacations. We work through. We work long hours. We don't do all those things. We rest when we dead and all those things.
Yeah, right.
I didn't take my first vacation until 3 years ago, 2023.
Sydney, we
That
need
was
to change that,
that
girl.
was my first ever
Mm,
vacation, and it was paid to Yosemite. It was amazing. But then I cried because I was like, why hadn't I done this? It was only 3 days, but I was like,
doesn't matter.
why hadn't I gone on vacation? You need that
Hmm.
recharge. You need that unplug
Hmm.
just to find who you are and stuff, because then we can come back to
Hmm.
work or whatever we're doing with whole new perspective,
Hmm.
refresh, and people appreciate that. And we
Hmm.
get to model that for other people too.
But it's also important, especially in our current climate, is that you have to
Oh,
take time for you.
oh,
If you don't
I
take time for you, it's no bueno.
it's no bueno. And I claimed this before he even won. I told my friend, I go, watch. If Trump wins, people are gonna go to the movies more. They're gonna go to concerts more. They're gonna go to drag shows more. Everyone's gonna be going to festivals more because they're gonna need an outlet because he's gonna run us to the damn ground. Everyone.
Everybody.
And everybody's gonna be going. And what has been happening?
Hmm.
Concerts are full. Are full. Everybody's running
Hmm.
to all the things because we need these
Hmm.
outlets to let go
Hmm.
because everyone's so hyper
Hmm.
vigilant all the So yeah, I'm going to the movie like 2, 3 times a week. Shit.
I love it. Lots of good things to see. More to talk about on it later. I do want to ask you, I want to be respectful of your time as well, but I want to ask you, you also mentioned that there's a difference between visibility and self-acceptance. Talk about that for a minute, because I think that's really powerful.
When it comes to visibility, I thought just being out and about was enough. I thought being Miss Barbecue, being Sydney, I thought that if I'm on stage, that's
Hmm.
enough. But when I would get off stage, and we talked about this too, I don't like
Hmm.
crowds. I didn't like
Hmm.
being around a lot of people.
Hmm.
And I realized that I didn't really like me. I loved Miss Barbecue, but because I had my name changed to Sydney, the
Hmm.
person I was when I wasn't barbecue, I didn't like. I didn't
Hmm.
dress well. I didn't take care of myself. I didn't take care of my skin, everything when I wasn't Miss Barbecue had all the things. But when I
Hmm.
was off stage, and I would look at old pictures of myself and I'd be like, oh my God, this poor person was just miserable. because I wasn't loving me. And I was loving this creature I had created. I wasn't loving me. And when I finally transitioned and found all of me, I realized that self-acceptance part is so important. In fact, it should be the number one thing because if you're going to be visible out and about, people can smell it. That you can be visible all you want, but if you don't love yourself, it
Hmm.
shows. It shows
Hmm.
how you show up. It shows how you conduct yourself. It shows
Hmm.
how you look people or don't look people in the eye. It shows how you eat, how you sleep, how you speak, how you sit, how you stand, all the things of self-acceptance, right? And people can
Hmm.
see the evolution of you. When Facebook shows the memories, remember this, remember this.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes
Uh-huh.
I look at those old pictures and I have one of my besties, Peter. Hi, Peter. When one of my besties, Peter, he looked at a picture of me now and a picture of
Hmm.
me back in 2011. And he
Hmm.
goes, "You're smiling in that picture, but you don't have joy in your face, in your eyes." And I'm like, "What about now?" He goes, "Oh my gosh, Sydney. You're smiling and you have so much joy." And now the visibility, I don't, when I'm walking about and people go, "Are you Sydney? Are you Miss Barbecue?" I used to be like, "Don't call me Miss Barbecue if I'm not dressed up." I realized
Mm.
that Sydney and Miss Barbecue are synonymous because it's all love.
Oh, girl. Girl, I tell you, I tell you.
It's such lessons and it's ongoing that these are the things that I've learned and I feel like still that's what I love about getting older is that lessons don't stop and they keep on going. They keep on going and new stuff comes in
Oh.
and I'm still learning how to, oh, now that I'm older, I get to approach this so differently now.
Mm.
I get to have these new boundaries for myself and
Yeah.
for other people. I get to love myself differently now, right? My skin regimen
Mm.
so different. Skin regimen is so different now.
Yeah.
I change my sheets differently. I
Yeah.
like certain things now that
Yep.
I didn't like when I was younger. How I
Hmm.
when I eat, all those things. And I don't need to post everything. I don't, here's what I'm eating, here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I barely post any of that stuff.
Yeah. What
Right.
else is really great about getting older is that you can then deal with all of this stuff, and you also have an element of you don't give a shit.
Two shits, three shits,
Two shits, three
no,
shits.
no fucks,
Julia,
right?
no fuck. Julia Louis-Dreyfus has a podcast called Wiser Than Me, and she interviews women that she feels are wiser than her. And it's one of the most brilliant podcasts, of course, next to Just to You, that I listen to because I love the comments that people make. And she talks a lot about because most of the women are older or
Yeah.
of older age, and they get to a point in their life where they realize that they used to care about what everybody thought about them and what they wore and what they ate and all of those things. And they get to a certain point and they just don't care anymore. And I realized that I'm turning 60 this year, and I realized that it was weird. Just like I used to care a lot. It's what kept me from launching this podcast for 4 years. I'm like, no one's going to listen. No
Oh.
one's going to do this. Is no one's going to want to care
And the only
what
thing
I
that
say.
keeps us, the only thing that holds us back is us.
Us. And that's the thing. And then Universe steps in. That's a whole other podcast. But Universe steps in and sends you a message from someone in Costa Rica that says, launch the damn podcast. So we did.
Yeah.
So we did.
And
Oh, we did.
go
Go ahead.
ahead.
No,
No,
go.
no. The other part of universe, though, is if we listen.
Yes.
You have
Yes.
to
Of
listen
course.
because
Of
universe will
course.
send the message over and over. And if we don't listen to the universe is kind of going, hey, hey, honey,
But
launch
Universe
this.
is also going to get tired of poking the bear
Oh,
and
she'll move on.
she'll move on to something else.
She'll be like,
Mhm,
okay,
mhm.
go buy these shoes instead then. Okay.
Because sometimes she gets fed up with
She
having to listen
gets
to you bitch about it.
she gets tired.
I finally had so after I launched, I had someone say to me, "Thank God, because we got so tired of hearing you talk about how nervous you were about launching it. Now look, you're having all this great success." But it's true. We don't like waking up into our bios. We don't give ourselves enough credit that we are able as human beings to navigate the world that we're living in. And we are currently afraid and scared, and some are angry, and some are passive, and some are out and pounding down doors and getting people to vote and having conversations that are difficult. And there's the wide spectrum. But we have to give ourselves also the grace to know that who we are is an ever evolving journey You even said it, letting go of the pressure to be perfect is
Yes.
an opportunity to allow yourself to grow. And
Yes.
that part is so
And
important.
and I think that's where my new thought of what pride is. I was thinking
Mm.
about what pride like, because
Mhm.
pride in the beginning was like, I'm just proud to be queer. I'm just proud to be black. I'm just proud to be trans,
Mhm.
right? But now pride comes from I'm proud that I've evolved. I'm
Mhm.
proud that I'm able to
Mhm.
say no, say yes. I'm proud that I'm able to find the people in my life and appreciate them. I'm
Mhm.
proud that I'm able to have this pride comes with gratitude now. It
Mhm.
also comes with like this grace that I never
Mhm.
gave before. And
Mhm.
once you have be able to give grace to yourself, be able
Mhm.
to grace to other people. And I
Mhm.
think that's also part of pride, quote
Mhm.
unquote, of what that looks like. It's not just the celebration, but it's also the grace and the
Mhm.
dignity that
Mhm.
pride has also brought so many people. And
Mhm.
I think a lot of times we forget that there are people who fought for us to
Mhm.
have these rights and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and that we've all
Mhm.
taken it for granted. And when I
Mhm.
see them taken away or chipped away or voted away or gerrymandered away, I'm like, where's our pride in where we came, how far
Mhm.
we've come? And that
Mhm.
pride should always be a non-negotiable, a non-negotiable of how far we've come. Sorry, I got a
What
little.
are you apologizing for?
I
Oh.
got
No, it's so funny because sometimes guests will say things like that, and my brain goes to, oh, wait, what was I just going to say? I just get so lost in the conversation, which is what's happened here. We didn't really get a chance to, and you'll have to come back and have another conversation with us. I want to share more about your work within your professional life, but also within the advocacy that you have, your speaking engagements. You have quite the resume and quite the opportunity to go out and make a difference. And we definitely want to make sure that people know how to follow you. So we're going to make sure that they can track you down on social media. So start posting. And we're going to make sure that they
Absolutely.
have access to your work that you do with the center. I want to ask you two final questions, and with your permission, but what is next for you, for Sydney? What's next for her?
Mm. What's next for me, I feel, is that I'm in the development stage of some curriculum, some training curriculum, a book, a couple of books. Um, Yeah, I'm in development with a lot of things and
Mhm.
collaborations that I'm working on that I'm really excited about, that I get to take all this knowledge and wisdom that I
Mhm.
have and get to
Mhm.
like channel. What's also next is that I'm talking to some people about what would it look like to have a campaign in the next 2 weeks? What would it
Mhm.
look like to
Mhm.
run, right? And having serious talks about what would that look like for me and if it's really doable. And
Mhm.
what's next is also dating.
I love it.
I am. I'm
Love it.
dating, talking to people, but enjoying what that looks like for me of allowing myself to be soft and taken
Mhm.
care of too. I think that balance is
Mhm.
so important. And the other part is I don't know.
That's a
I
good play. That's a good
right?
thing, though. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know
There's got to be
what
space for
I
the unknown.
yeah, there has to be space for I don't know, but when it comes across, my always rub here because my heart, if it feels good here, I say yes. Just like talking to you.
I am so giddy today. This has just made my day. And before I ask you the last question, I do just sincerely want to say thank you for being who you are. And thank you for what you do out in the community with your work within the center and the trans community and the LGBT community as a whole, and all of the people that you speak to at all your speaking engagements. I am 1000% certain that people leave the presence of you having shifted their mindset and maybe have a new opinion or a new way of looking at something, because who you are in the world is a change maker. And I'm grateful to know you. And I'm sure that the world is grateful that you are in it, my friend. And I look forward to seeing you hopefully soon down here in San
Mm,
Diego to give you a great
yes.
big hug. But I want to thank you for being here today and for sharing and for being so authentic and for giving us an opportunity to get a little glimpse into Sydney's world. And I appreciate that. So, my last question to you is this, and I ask this of everybody, and that is if you could go back to that young Sydney and that family of six and living in Southern California, what would you tell young Sydney about her life today?
Oh, goodness. You're gonna make me cry. I pull that little kid to the side. I tell her that you're so loved and who you are is not wrong, and that you have such a beautiful and big life in front of you. And please don't give up. Please don't leave before the miracle started. Please know that you have greatness deep within you and that you're worthy of so much joy and love. Dang, Eric.
Thank you for being here today. And thank you for being so extraordinary. We'll talk again.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining us on today's episode. I hope our conversation resonated with you like it did me, and I cannot wait to sit down with you all again next week. Remember to subscribe to the Just You podcast on your favorite platform so you can make sure not to miss a new episode, which drop every Thursday. If you like what you hear, you can easily share the podcast and episode directly with your friends. And if you would, rate us and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. You can also follow us on Instagram at JustDoYouPod. As you go out back into the world today, remember to just do you. All right, talk next week.